to join?
I'm afraid so.
Okay. I think because the time now is it's already almost 2:15. So without further ado, I believe that I will start the event. Is that okay?
それでは、3時時間も過ぎましたので、会議を始めたいと思います。よろしいでしょうか。
Yes, Rashida-san, we are good to go.
Okay, I'm going to start and a very good afternoon here from Malaysia. My name is Rashida. I'm from the Copyright Office, MIPO in Malaysia. Welcome to everyone here in this online webinar, virtual training seminar hosted by both Japan Copyright Office, ACA, and CODA, and as well as MIPO. We also have here to assist in this webinar interpreters all the way from Japan, and to assist with our Japanese counterparts to follow this webinar. So I will start this virtual webinar with a very warm welcome to everyone, and thank you for the numbers of participants that join us here today. The topic for today is on the copyright digital enforcement and in times of COVID-19. So this is the first ever virtual webinar event focusing on the copyright digital enforcement. We have the seminar every year, but it's on physical, and the good thing is we'll hope to be able to get more audience to follow on this seminar with regards to the copyright digital enforcement. So without further ado, we will hear from all the experts from Japan and practitioners from the Japanese policymakers and Malaysia, and share how enforcement of copyright in the digital enforcement have impact on the copyright content. And we have here today for the opening address by JCO, Dr. Yuriko Seki-san, Director, Office for International Copyright of the Copyright Division, Agency for Cultural Affairs, Government of Japan. I leave the floor to you, Dr. Yuriko Seki-san. Please.
皆さん、こんにちは。マレーシアから、こちらお話しさせていただきたいと思います。今回、ウェビナーという形で皆さんと、このような形でセミナーを開かせていただく形になりました。今回はIPO、JCO、そしてCODAが共に主催するという形で行い、そして多くの方々が参加いただいている形になります。今回は著作権に関するデジタルの領域での取り組みの強化ということでテーマを掲げて、そして初めてこのような形でウェビナーという形で行わさせていただくことになりました。セミナー自体は毎年行っているものになるんですけれども、今回は非常に多くの方々から参加いただき、そしてこの後にですね、日本の方々からも専門家の方々のお話を聞いていくという形で進めていきたいというふうに考えています。それではここで日本の方から文化庁著作権課国際著作権室長の関由里子様にお話を伺いたいと思います。
We cannot hear. We cannot hear from the interpreter. We cannot hear.
聞こえますでしょうか。
大丈夫です。
はじめから、皆様こんにちは。ただいまご紹介に預かりました、文化庁で室長しております関由里子と申します。 今日はウェビナーということで画面越しにはなりますけれども、多くの方々にご参加いただけているということで、改めましてよろしくお願い申し上げます。今回、そのコロナの影響で直接お顔を合わせてということにならないことはとても残念な状況ではありますけれども、さはさりながらこうしてどうにか皆様のご協力を持ってトレーニングセミナーを開催できたことを大変嬉しく思っております。ことにマイポ、コーダの皆様におかれましては、こうした厳しい状況の中で、開催に向けてご準備をしていただいたこと、改めてお礼を申し上げたいと思います。今年の7月になりますけれども、同じくオンラインでジャパンエクスポ in マレーシアが開かれまして、その際にマイポの方々には啓発動画を作成していただきまして、本当にありがとうございました。私も拝見しましたが、多くのお子さんたちが出演していただきまして、生き生きと著作権というものをどう考えて、でそれを守らないとどういうふうになってしまうのかということを自ら考えて、出演していただいてというそのメッセージが非常によく伝わるビデオになっていたと思っております。でまたそのビデオのおしまいには歌手の G. アービスさんもメッセージを、元気の出るメッセージをいただけましたのは、これまでのそのマイポとのつながりの賜物と思っておりますので感謝申し上げます。この後、実はこの動画につきましては、上映があるとお聞きしてますので、まだご覧になってない方はぜひ楽しみに見ていただければと思っております。でこの、ジャパンエクスポインマレーシア自体はそのオンラインではなりましたけれども、たくさん多くの方々に見ていただくことができましたので、結果として、初めての試みになりますけれども、成功裏に終わらせることができましたことをこの場をお借りしてお礼申し上げます。でこれまで日本の文化庁とそのマイポとの関係は、このジャパンエクスポインマレーシアに限らず、さまざま、特にこの後お話しくださるコーダも含めまして、例えば普及啓発イベントの実施、教材の共同開発、トレーニングセミナーなど、お互いの知見と経験を共有しながら、さまざまな協力関係を長きにわたり築いてまいりました。今後も文化庁としましては、このような関係を築いていきたいと思っておりますので、ぜひよろしくお願いしたいと思っております。でまた、こうしたオンラインにはなりますけれども、どのような方法であれ、今後もマレーシアと友好関係を深め、著作権を中心とする協力関係を強化していきたいと思っておりますので、また、忌憚のなく意見交換も含め、よろしくお願いしたいと思っております。結びにあたりまして、このセミナーが皆様にとって実りあるものになり、著作権保護の強化に資することを期待しまして、私からのご挨拶とさせていただきありがとうございました。
As introduced, now my name is Yuriko Seki from Copyright Division, Agency for Cultural Affairs. And I heard that there are a lot of people joining today. So thank you very much for joining the webinar today, despite your very busy schedule. It is very regrettable that we cannot see each other face-to-face this time because of COVID-19. However, I am grateful that we managed to take and hold this training seminar online. First and foremost, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to people of my IPO and CODA for their huge efforts they have put in to hold this seminar. And I also want to thank my IPO for creating awareness video for Japan Expo in Malaysia, which was held online July this year. I saw many children appearing in that video, and they looked adorable. In addition, the video was produced in a way that clearly delivered the message that if we do not protect copyrights, we will be in trouble. We were able to receive a message for the video from a singer Z Abi, and this is all thanks to my IPO. I have been informed that the video will be played during today's seminar too. So for those of you who have not seen the video yet, I hope you enjoy it today. Even though the Japan Expo in Malaysia was held online, we were able to have a lot of viewers and we were able to bring the event to a success despite the difficult time of COVID-19. And this is all thanks to all of your support. I have now talked about this year's Japan Expo in Malaysia as an example. However, my IPO and Agency for Cultural Affairs have long held various cooperative relations, such as by holding promotional events and training seminar or creating learning materials through CODA. As Agency for Cultural Affairs, we would like to further strengthen cooperative relations with Malaysia more than ever before as we further exchange opinions to each other. Last but not least, I hope today's seminar will be a fruitful session and it would be led to the further enhancement of copyright protection. Thank you.
Thank you very much from our Japanese counterparts. And we'll hear the opening address by Maipo herself. This is from our Director General, Datuk Muhammad Roslan Mahyudin, who is the Director General of the Intellectual Property Corporation of Malaysia, MIPO. So I give the floor to Datuk Roslan for his opening address. Thank
それで
you.
は、次にマレーシア知的財産公社長官ダトさんよりですね、オープニングリマークという形で初めの言葉をいただきたいと思います。
Beda musik ya, pakai di sini.
users of existing works. Some uses new technologies in a very creative, positive ways. Some, unfortunately, use them to steal others' work. This drawback has indirectly affected nations' economic growth, as well as the remuneration for authors and copyright owners. The amount of harm that copyright infringement and illegal activities like streaming and unauthorized downloading creates a real hurdle for creative professionals and the media industry. While protecting copyright is automatic, proving ownership is difficult. The current state of the industry demands proof of ownership in the event of dispute, and the need arises on the copyright voluntary notification system, which helps copyright owner to keep an official record of their proof of copyright in the register to support their claim towards ownership of the copyright and the particulars in case of this dispute. Ladies and gentlemen, as a parting note, I hope this webinar will provide participants the platform to learn the experience from ACA, CODA, as well as from our local speaker from UPM, which discuss specific proposals on countermeasures against copyright infringement. I wish you all a fruitful webinar and every success in your deliberations. I would like to once again thank ACA and CODA for making this seminar possible to be held here today. On that note, I now declare the copyright webinar, Copyright Enforcement in Digital Era, officially open. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Dato' Muhammad Roslan, for
Welcome.
the opening address from MIPO. And
would it be possible to
yes
pause a little bit so that I can translate?
Sure.
Thank you. 皆さん、こんにちは。少しですね、冒頭のあたりで音声の問題であったりとか、技術的な問題があったので、戸惑ってしまったんですけれども、申し訳ございませんでした。まずは皆様に、ご挨拶という形でお話をさせていただきたいというふうに考えております。先ほど、文化庁著作権課国際著作権室長の関様よりお話をいただき、そして、イマンさん、コーダの、イマンさん、そして、コミュニケーションとマルチメディアの省庁である皆様にもご参加いただき、このような形でさまざまな団体機関、そして政府の方から代表という形で皆様にご参加いただき、大変嬉しく思っております。このような形で現在、コロナの状況が続いておりますけれども、今回初めてのウェビナーという形で、我々が力を携え、MyIPO、JCO、CODAの方で主催することができ、非常に嬉しく思っております。この著作権侵害の問題というのは非常に社会に対して大きな影響があるものだというふうに考えています。新しい作品が作られ、その作品が作られた際に個人のみならず企業の方にも著作権侵害があった場合、非常に大きな影響が出てきます。非常に一部の方はクリエイティブな形で、そして悪用する形で他の方々のその知的財産を盗むということを行ってしている方もいらっしゃり、それが非常に社会に対しても大きい影響があります。海外でもこのようなことが起きています。今この状況下で、産業からはかなり、この領域に関する需要というのが上がっていますので、私たちとしても手を組んで一体となって、きちんと支えていかなくてはいけないというふうに考えています。このウェビナーが皆さんの学びの場となり、そして皆さんの方で著作権侵害に対する提案であったりとか、対策などを双方で学び合う 場となればというふうに考えています。ぜひこの会を皆さんにとって実りの多い会にしていただければというふうに思っております。今回テーマがデジタルという形でありますけれども、皆さんの方で、良い会にしていただければと思います。ありがとうございました。
Speech made by our Director General, Dr. Muhammad Roslan. I hope that we also have participants here from both Japanese and Malaysian. But before that, I would like to remind here again, anyone here in the participants who are probably the first time joining webinars, please mute on your computer. There is a button for mute. Please mute to allow speakers to speak. Otherwise, the screen will be focusing on you. So I have here Siti Nurhaliza. Please, Siti Nurhaliza, would you please mute?
皆さんの方にお願いです。今回初めて参加される方々、ミュートのボタンがありますので、お話しされていない際はミュートボタンを押していただければと思います。
さんいいですよ、訳さなくて大丈夫です。
Mr.
Masaharu-san, could you please mute the rest of the participants? We are going to start on our webinar. If that's okay. So, okay, before I start, I'm giving to the floor to Mr. Masaharu Ina-san. He is the Director of Overseas Copyright Protection, CODA. A little bit of biography from Mr. Masaharu-san. He is a veteran of Japan's largest film studio, that is Toho Company Limited. Mr. Masaharu-san has been Executive Director of Toho International Company Limited, of the International Toho Inc., Toho Cinema Limited, Toho Pictures Company Limited, before assuming a new role as the Director of Overseas Copyright Protection and Content Association, CODA. This is to promote and protect Japanese content in overseas countries, and he has assumed the office since March 2017. Now, without further ado, I leave to you, Mr. Masaharu-san, on your topic for today, entitled CODA's Measures Against Copyright Infringement, Efforts Towards Promotion of Legitimate Content Distribution. Mr. Masaharu, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Rashida-san, for your kind introduction. I'm very happy to see you all. I wanted to be there, but because of the coronavirus, I can't be there. And it's a massive pity for me. I always enjoy coming to Kuala Lumpur to see my friends there and exchange our opinions and eat great local cuisine. So maybe next year, I'm crossing fingers that I can be there. Could you please mute unless you need to speak? Otherwise, your picture would be featured on the screen. Could you please mute everybody so that everyone can hear my voice? Okay. Okay. First of all, I have to take opportunity. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank MIPO, especially Roslan-san and Rashida-san, for making this opportunity possible. Without your assistance, we couldn't make this happen. And also thank Dr. Mega for saving up his precious time to talk to us. And finally, but not in the least, I have to thank Japan's Agency for Cultural Affairs for supporting this activity. Okay, as the time is a bit delayed, I'll make my presentation as simple and short as possible. Okay, here is my presentation, CODA's Measures Against Copyright Infringement and Efforts Towards Promotion of Legitimate Content Distribution. It's a very long title. Okay, as Rashida-san introduced me, I am Director of Overseas Copyright Protection at CODA. And I've been working for CODA for the past 3 years. And I've been enjoying working with MIPO in Malaysia. And I've been enjoying our amicable relationship and cooperation. And CODA stands for Content Overseas Distribution Association. That may sound like a distribution company, but in effect, it is not. It is a non-profit organization founded in 2002 with an assistance from Agency for Cultural Affairs, as well as Ministry of Trade, Economy, and Industry. And here's my presentation. This picture shows, on the left-hand side, it's an international content market. On the right-hand side is Japan's content market. You see the difference. Worldwide, it will increase dramatically. The margin for the Japanese market is smaller. And this picture shows this blue one is the aggregate income of Japan's 4 major motion picture studios. And on the right-hand side is Disney, an American motion picture company. And you can see the gap, how small Japanese sales is. Then the second picture, next picture. This shows the increase of mobile communication system, 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G. Japan introduced 5G late last year, hoping that it would be widely available by the time for the Tokyo Olympic Games. But as you all know, because of the coronavirus, it was postponed to next summer. Now, 5G is a good thing for content industry because it's faster. And we can send and make available lots of contents in a short period of time. That means more money for content companies. But at the same time, that would make, this new technology would make piracy easier. So that poses a threat as well. Here's a short information about CODA. As I explained, we were established in 2002. And our main purpose is to promote and protect Japanese contents. And when I say contents, that includes motion pictures, TV programs, music, manga, animation, computer games, toys, etc. And here's a list of companies of our members. And there might be some familiar names for you, like Studio Ghibli, motion picture companies, network TV stations, major publishers, and Bandai, Toymaker, most of the major IP-related organizations. Here's a list of our activities. So we protect and promote Japanese contents. And in doing so, we cooperate with various foreign entities, such as MIPO, or Copyright Administration Office of China, COPA from Korea, and Hong Kong Customs, which is an IP police in Hong Kong. And in Japan, we work with Agency for Cultural Affairs, Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry, Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communication, Ministry of and in overseas countries, we work with MPA and the IFPI, to name a few. Here's one of our unique activities. We have this registered trademark called CJ Mark. We created this so that we can protect our member companies' contents by simply putting this mark. Normally, to protect contents, we need to use copyright. Then we have to have POAs and other documents to protect the copyrights of the contents by our member companies. But by putting this mark, we can protect the content if it's infringed as an infringement violation of a registered trademark. So with that in mind, we register this mark in these categories, main categories for content business in these countries: Japan, US, EU, Taiwan, Hong Kong, China, and Korea. Here is some examples of CJ mark use. This is a picture of the ending credit of a motion picture with a CJ mark. You know, all of our member companies insert this CJ mark at the end of their motion pictures. By doing so, we can protect them. If they are infringed, we can prosecute the infringer as the violator of a registered trademark. And here is one example of a DVD packaging. By utilizing this CJ mark in the areas of China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, we got these results over the past 15 years. We confiscated nearly 7 million optical discs. I skip this part. This is a very common picture of how a content is pirated in overseas countries. So here are main 7 ways to pirate: illegal streaming, ISP, user-generated content websites like YouTube, social network service, pirated websites, link sites, online strategies, P2P, and other physical ways like EC sites. And how online pirates make money? It's from ads. By placing ads, they receive money, so-called impression ads. The more access, the better for them. The more access, the more money for them. So they place ads and generate money. So in other words, it doesn't matter what to carry for them. So it can be other than IPs. For example, porn or gambling. It doesn't matter for them. So this is how they make money. I skip this part. This is how pirates escape our detection, by reversing a picture or changing the aspect ratio from this size to this size, or by using totally irrelevant names for their illegally uploaded files, just numbers or dates or totally different word. This is an example of a screen of a mobile phone. Again, this app makes money from ad. So Coda created Content Automatic Observation and Deletion Center. This is a picture that shows how it works. Simply put, if a TV program is broadcast, the system automatically creates fingerprints of both picture and sound. And with these, the system crawls the internet, and if a file matches with the fingerprints, the system sends out a takedown notice in English automatically to the platform. But as I previously explained, there are ways to escape the detection by the system. So we also employ human staffers so that they can check these illegal sites with their own eyes. And this shows the deletion rates, removal rates by sites: YouTube, Dailymotion, Facebook, Bilibili, usual suspects. And you see removal rates here. You know, YouTube, although it is the biggest source for illegal content, removal rate is 100%. But Facebook, one of the most popular social networking services, is 1.5%. So there's a room for us to improve. And we've been working with international entities. For example, we made an MOU with China's UGC sites, main UGC sites like Youku, Chudo, 56, and Q6, or with iQIYI, a video streaming site. so that they would show nothing but legal content. And we also signed an MOU with Korea's COPA. It's a governmental body to protect copyright, and also Korea's private company called KOA. It's our counterpart in Korea to help protect copyrights in each country. We also have an MOU signed with America's MPA. As you know, MPA is the leading figure to protect motion pictures worldwide. Here's an example of a pirate site and how it goes outside of the country. In other words, online piracy has no boundary. This is a case of a Brazilian pirate site called AniTube. The site operator is in Brazil. The server is in America. And domain name is registered in Sweden. And because of the site is viewed by Japanese people. This is how typically pirate sites are operated. So it's very difficult to protect our rights. Here's a picture of how bad people can maintain their anonymity. By using new technologies such as VPN or Tor, T-O-R, they can show they can hide. Senders can hide their ID, and they can use offshore hosting, sometimes called so-called bulletproof hosting, or other hosting services called CDN, the most famous of which is Cloudflare. And they can register their domain names by using domain name registration services such as Nijara that boast total anonymity of the registrars. And when they use bulletproof hosting, all they need are the only thing they need is an email address, and they can pay the fee with cryptocurrency. So they can again protect themselves whilst they're making lots of money, sometimes millions of US a year from ads. These are two most notorious names in online copyright infringement. In fact, these two services were included in the TCRP notorious list submitted by MPA and RIAA to America's trade trade agency. Nijara is, as it's explained here, is a domain name registration service that guarantees total anonymity. And Cloudflare is one of CDN services, but it's not cooperative with right holders. When you send request to show the identification of the operator of an infringing site, only thing they give you are email address and their IP address. So although these are very much helpful to pirates, they are, at the moment, they get away with impunity. Although we send lots of notices to Cloudflare, for example, from April to March, from April 2019 to March 2020, for about a year, we sent out 25,467 notices to them, but they were not helping us at all. I skipped this part. this part. Another threat to the international content community is ISD, illegal streaming device. Although this is not popular in Japan, this has been set a lot of problem to right holders in many countries. By connecting this device to your TV set, this works as a sort of computer, and you can get access to lots of pirate sites. Although there are set-top boxes which are totally legal, but some are preloaded with links to pirate sites. So those bad set-top boxes we call ISD. And in cooperation with various international enforcement, in Taiwan, these are two examples, we arrested some suspects. Another threat to the content community is the infringement upon manga. Lots of manga has been pirated. One thing is manga is very popular worldwide. Another thing is that the file, electronic file of manga is relatively lighter, so it's easier for infringers to infringe. These are some examples. Haruka Yume no Ato was one of the link sites, and the suspect was arrested this year, but the damage was supposed to be in the region of 73 billion yen, which is about 700 million US. Although there are many threats, as I explained, as of now, we do not have site blocking. So these are the things we are doing at the moment. For example, we show this kind of message on your PC screen in cooperation with such antivirus security software companies as TrendMicro, SourceNext, SecureBrain, etc. on a voluntary basis. Well, we are a member of TCRP, Trusted Copyright Removal Program by Google. Google has 80% market share in Japan. So we decided to work with Google. By becoming a member of this TCRP, Google can remove search results, remove certain pirate sites that we submit to them from search results. Or in case they cannot remove search results at all, they can degrade, de-rank search results. For example, if a pirate site appears on the first page of the results, it's easier for the general public to access. But if it appears only on the third page or the fourth page, it's almost inaccessible. We send out take-down notices to piracy sites and CDN operators, but as I explained, they are not always cooperative. Here is one of the activities that we are proud of, which is a Japanese version IWL. IWL stands for Infringing Website List. That started in Britain. And in Asia, there are some countries, including Japan, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, to operate this. Simply put, this is an activity to create a list of infringing sites and share with other agencies and brands so that they do not place us in the websites of included in such blacklist. So CODA gathered 8 other organizations from digital comic, computer software, broadcasters, video software, animation, motion picture association, MPA, etc. And inclusive CODA, we've got 9 9 groups, and having had quarterly meetings with 3 other related organizations that represent brands as well as other agencies. And we've been renewing and sharing the blacklist. And brands and other agencies have been cooperative. We also cooperate with certain EC sites and stop payments to infringers. And we've been organizing training seminars such as this in many countries since 2005. And in Malaysia, we've been having training seminars in Kuala Lumpur, Penang, Johor Bahru, Kota Kinabalu. And this shows our lobbying activities. Back in 2016, we asked the government to do something about link sites and introduce site blocking. Although site blocking has not been implemented in Japan, in this year's amendment to the Copyright Act, we succeeded in introducing countermeasures against link sites. In doing so, June this year, our representative director, Mr. Goto, urged the government at the special committee held by both lower and higher houses to introduce a new law to regard link sites infringement and illegalizing downloading of still images to protect manga. As a result, amendment was enacted in June this year. And I would give more explanation with another slide. These are other copyright awareness activities. And I come to Kuala Lumpur every year to attend copyright awareness event at Japan Expo in Malaysia, held in Kuala Lumpur every year. And although this year we couldn't come because of the virus, so instead we had a virtual event, and it was very successful. And we also have a business matching with Japanese content holders and potential licensees of overseas countries. And that concludes this presentation. Now I switch to the explanation to the amendment to Japan's Copyright Act. As I briefly noted, a new amendment was introduced in June this year. What to note is that normally, if an amendment is introduced, the actual law would be implemented on the first day of the next year, of the following year. But this time, there are 2 major amendments to the copyright law for entertainment business, content business. One is measures against index sites. By saying index sites, we mean link sites. Another is legalization of downloading of infringing contents. And the first one will be implemented on the 1st of October, was implemented on the 1st of October already. Normally, as I said, it will be introduced next year, but this time it was moved up to October because of our telling the special committee through our representative director that it is urgently required. And this first one is very unique. And I believe this is the first of its kind in the world, because there are many various thoughts and opinions about illegalizing major index sites. There are many judgments in the world one in Germany, one in Korea, another one in Korea, something like that. And some judgments say index sites are okay. It's not an infringement because it doesn't include illegal contents. But some judgments say it is helping infringement. In Japan's case, index sites, link sites have been major ways to invite lots of innocent viewers to pirated sites. So it has been our utmost desire to do something about index sites. So with this amendment, it is illegal to knowingly access to pirated sites via index sites to illegally uploaded pirated contents, and also creating index sites, operating index sites are illegalized. And illegalization of downloading of infringing content, I need more explanation on this. This year's amendment made it illegal to download illegally uploaded still images, including manga. Moving images and music had been illegalized already prior to the introduction of this amendment. The reason why we introduced this number 2 is that, as I briefly explained, the damage to manga was enormous. You know, these cases of Mangamura Haruka Yume no Ato imposed lots of threats to publishers and cartoonists alike. So it was urgently needed to introduce ways to counteract against link sites and downloading. Uploading of a copyrighted work without right holder's consent is illegal. And downloading those contents is also illegal. And operating pirate site is illegal. Providing link is illegal. Downloading, knowing that the content is illegal, it's also illegal. It's the explanation of the background of the we tried to introduce these 2 new amendments last year, but there's a harsh opposition manga artists who have been traditionally quite generous about secondary creation of their manga. So we persuaded them that how it's important to introduce this new amendment. And we also made some exemptions to the legalization of downloading of still images. For example, just a couple of frames of a manga can be permitted, or parody can be permitted, or special cases where right holders' rights are not supposed to be so unless it's really malicious and unlawful, person who downloaded the content will not be punished. And as it's explained here, CODA is also working very hard on copyright awareness activities. For example, we created a copyright educational video, which will be shown at the end of this seminar. And we also created 16 copyright awareness educational manga, which I would show during the intermission, coincide with the introduction of the amendment of the Copyright Act. These are the fines, which you can read afterwards. Okay, that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Mr. Masaki. one of the Malaysia's private TV station responsible for the production of flagship TV3's program, Majalah Tiga. He is an award-winning environmental journalist and producer of documentary program that won several prestigious national journalism awards, such as Malaysian Press Institute, National Journalism Award in 1996, coverage the Bakun Hydroelectric Project in Sarawak. Now, much has been said about Dr. Megat, who is our distinguished speaker from Malaysia today. I will now pass it over to Dr. Megat for his presentation entitled Malaysia Audiovisual Intellectual Property Issues and Challenges. Okay, could I have, before that, could I have from the enforcement to mute and so that we are able to proceed to our next speakers? Dr. Megat, are you, I hope you are here with us today, and the floor is yours.
For Rashida from my IPO and Dr. Roslan from the Director General of my IPO Malaysia, and our counterpart from Japan, from CODA, and from JCA, from Japan Copyright Office, right? So we thank you very much for inviting me to participate in this webinar to talk about Malaysia perspective a bit on the creative industry, especially audiovisual in Malaysia. So we just listened to the presentation from CODA, Mr. Masaharu. So I think that the presentation is very, very good. So far in Malaysia, that I believe that we our agencies we are not very so far very in depth in terms of tackling the issues in terms of the technology. So maybe that there are some agencies, for example, cybersecurity, and some agencies under the Ministry of Trade and Industry is doing that. So on my part, so in the university, and as mentioned just now by Puan Rashida, I was also the Deputy Director General of FINAS before this, body responsible for the development of the film industry in Malaysia. So we are more, FINAS is actually function more on the development of the industry. So I suppose also in the matter regarding the copyright of the content, film content in media as well, is under the purview of FINAS. But under the current statute, or under the current act of FINAS, FINAS is only responsible for the development of film, because the act has not been repealed yet. So it was last repealed in 2013, I guess, when the merger between FINAS and Film Negara last time. So most of the responsibility with regard to audiovisual and film industry in Malaysia is under the purview of FINAS. So I would like to move to my presentation on I don't know how to share the whole my screen. Can I share how I want to share my PowerPoint here?
You can press the button in about the center for sharing.
Yeah, sharing.
If you press the button, the screen shows various files that you can share. And
Desktop.
you need to
So
open the file before sharing.
all right, this is the file, and then because I'm not very
File.
familiar of using the Zoom, okay, share screen, and then it okay. All right, I got it now. All right, thank you. All right, I can. I hope that you can see now my slide. Let's start from the beginning. Okay, Malaysian audiovisual intellectual property issue and challenge. So, thank you again, Mr. Mataharu from Koda for your detailed explanation on what currently Japan is doing with regard to the protection of copyright through online. I think that is one of the biggest challenges now you are facing also in Malaysia. For example, one of the device, Kodi, right? A lot of people now using Kodi devices in order to access to content, including the local content in Malaysia as well. But what I want to talk now here in Malaysia is from the perspective of production, not from the perspective of the users, right? Because users is another important thing. But now the industry now, since the COVID-19, and also not only during the COVID-19, this has been an issue in the development of copyright in the production of creative content in Malaysia. All right, so I go further. So my abstract of my my presentation today is we will discuss about the current issue and challenges facing intellectual property of creative industry in Malaysia, particularly audiovisual. It has been a long clamor of industry players in the field of audiovisual production to seek intellectual property protection of their literary rights. Film directors, producers, screenwriters, actors, singers, composer, and crew demand to have more economic and moral right on their creation. They also demand for better share and revenue for their masterpiece. For audio and music, the practice of copyright protection has been improved in conjunction with the development of copyright in music industry in the world. Meanwhile, for the practice of visual copyright, for instance, film, TV, and video, it is still developing and requiring further improvement through empowering of policy, regulation, negotiation, as well as understanding and awareness of the people in the industry, as well as the people, as well as the audience. All right. Okay, ever since the emergence of film industry in late 1940 after the Second World War, okay, during the time of the late P. Ramlee. P. Ramlee is one of the artists or the actor or director and filmmakers who started among the pioneer in the film industry in Malaysia. Issue regarding the plight of the content creator in the form of audio film has been greatly debated. The artists, filmmakers feel that they are subjected to unfair treatment they receive with regard to their right and benefit of their literary works. Often in the mainstream media, creative industry discuss and clamor about the plight in which they, at the end of their career, they suffer from poverty despite of their limelight when they were at peak of their career. So this is also previously we also had some discussion with my IPO because P. Ramlee issue is a classic case in Malaysian copyright. Okay, in Malaysian copyright awareness among the producer and filmmakers and the director, or those people who are involved in the production of audiovisual in Malaysia. Okay, P. Ramlee directed more than 60 films during his career in film and film industry, and he acted in more than 35 films. He wrote and composed more than 400 songs. All the song is considered to be evergreen until now. And then he won several prestigious awards, including during the 4th Asia Pacific Film Festival in 1957 in Tokyo as the best male actor under the film Anakku Sazali, My Son Sazali. And during the 10th Asia Pacific Film Festival Tokyo in 1963, won the award for most versatile actor under film Ibu Mertuaku, or My Mother-in-Law. The title. This film is very famous until now. People watch it over and over. And this film, initially the copyright is belonged to Run Run Shaw, the Shaw Brothers in Hong Kong, right? When Shaw Brothers opened the business in Singapore during the late 40, 50, right? P. Ramlee was one of the major contributor to Shaw Brothers during the time. So if you remember that Asia Pacific Film Festival started in 1954 in Tokyo. I think that all the filmmakers in Asia, they are waiting for this Asia Pacific Film Festival being organized in Asia Pacific, because in Asia we can see that not many film festivals being organized. And if you look at from the Wikipedia, we can see that there are certain years Asia Pacific Film Festival was not being organized. For example, in year 2014, 2015, 2017. And then we hope that our Japanese counterpart who started this Asia Pacific Film Festival, we can work together with hopefully Koda can initiate some initiative. We can bring back alive this Asia Pacific Film Festival to be celebrated by our creative industry player in our region. All right. Okay, end of his life. P. Ramlee, he passed away at the age of 44 years old. It's very young, right? It's considered to be very young, on May 1973. So if we follow, if we watch History Channel, there's one documentary produced by Documentary Channel about the life of P. Ramlee. And at the end of his career, P. Ramlee had died penniless, having given away the last of his money to a visitor to his house who he felt needed the money more than him. So it's ultimately a death shock to the nation and sense of collective guilt nationwide. Because prior to his death, he had been discredited and rejected by entertainment industry and the public at large, who felt that he has been, and that his song and film were no longer relevant or marketable during the time when he was alive. But now, when he passed away already, now people start to celebrate, or people start to value his masterpiece. Where we can see now his film play over and over the television in Malaysia, and then not only Malaysia, Indonesia, as well as in Singapore. Okay, current scenario. So the plight of P. Ramlee is over, and then we are inheriting our creative industry in Malaysia is still facing the issue of copyright, the issue of the unfair, we consider to be unfair treatment between the studios as well as the independent producer. So in general, understanding of Malaysian creative industry players, particularly audiovisual intellectual property awareness, is considered to be low, as underdogs who are unable to push for more demand from studios and TV stations. Individuals among the directors, actors, screenwriters are subjected to agree on one-sided and unfair contract or agreement with studio and TV station over their economic and moral right of their literary work. For example, often screenwriter will no longer given credit or any benefit for subsequent production of content they originally crafted. Once the concept of program or script has been handed over to the studio or TV station, they will have no more economic and moral right on the creation. Studio and TV station will have exclusive right to further develop the content and own the IP. So I think it's a quite basic issue lah. Basic issue in our intellectual property with regard to the film and video in Malaysia. So intellectual property for audio, all right. So for audio, I think it's a bit structured. Intellectual property for protection for audio, song, music, etc. is considered to be a little bit structured compared to film and video. There are few agencies. Music Author Copyright Protection (MSCP) is a business entity. Public Performance Malaysia (PPM) and Recording Performer Malaysia Berhad. It's all the business entity function as licensing bodies for Malaysian audio. So meaning that song, because we are replicating, we are using the international standard, because some of the big audio company, for example, music company, white label company, for example, Sony Music, so they are operating also in Malaysia. That's why I think the structure for our audio intellectual property is quite structured in Malaysia. Okay, current practice in the government media, for example, RTM, Radio Television Malaysia is a government station. Current practice of television station, for example, the government TV station, RTM, it practice bidding and tender system. When we call it the bidding and tender system, normally the government will acquire the content from the producer and it become and hand over the copyright to the station. Once they receive payment from the station, so they will no longer have the right over the content. So the 100% copyright is belong to the government or belong to the TV station. Since the cost of living in the country has been increasing over the period of time, Malaysian producer, for example, Malaysian TV Producer Association, PTVN, GAFIM, has voiced demand for increase of the price of the program they produce and they sell to RTM. They claim that the price for the program they produce has not been increased over the last 3 years. So they reiterated that by increasing the price of the content industry industry player, including the production crew, the actors, people behind the scene, would improve their affairs and the future of the industry. So that is the practice of the government television in Malaysia. The government television is very important because they set the example to the other stations. For example, the Media Prima and Astro, right? We have 2 major television stations in Malaysia. One is Media Prima, another one is Astro. Astro, they are running satellite-based television station, and Astro, they are running TV3 and TV7, a few channels under TV3. I think, and under our TV3, they have 4 free-to-air channels, namely TV3, NTV7, 8TV, and also TV9. So the current practice, okay, meanwhile, private television station, for example, Media Prima and Astro, most of the time decide producing their own content. Okay, they produce, I think, more than half of the content in this 2 stations, Media Prima and Astro. More than 50% of the content are they produce themselves, and they also commission part of the production of the content to the production houses based on the concept and script proposed by the independent producers and the content creator. Okay, most of the time they will own full control of copyright, where independent producers do not have right on the subsequent production of the next series of the program. Okay, for example, one independent producer or production houses propose to TV station for Media Prima or Astro, so they will sell outright the copyright of the content to the TV station, because they are pitching to the TV station, and then the TV station will pay them the cost of production, and then the cost of production, as well as a certain amount of payment that they agreed in their negotiation. All right. So this is what the current practice like, but because of the demand from the industry player, right? So I'm talking about the industry player now, not from the perspective of audience, all right? This is from the perspective of the industry player. So only quite recently in the year 2020, last year, RTM agreed, Radio Television Malaysia agreed to increase the price of television content it acquired from producers. RTM under the Ministry of Communication and Multimedia has increased the price of TV content up to 60%. The RTM is still keeping 100% ownership of the content based on the existing term and conditions. The term and condition is still not being repealed. RTM is still own 100% ownership of the content. However, RTM under certain conditions allow independent producers to have revenue sharing up to 30% or more. Yeah, I heard it is about 30% if the producer manage to sell the content to the other station. For example, one of the drama, the TV drama Jejak, produced by one of producers, independent producers, Datuk Yusuf Aslam, Gerak Khas, a police series, police and crime series. He managed to sell the content to MediaCorp Singapore, and then I heard that he got 30% stake from the sale of the content to MediaCorp. Okay, QT argued by allowing RTM to keep the content on the shelf without further developing them for next production market, it is a loss to the industry actually, because now the content is not only on the shown on one particular station. We can sell, and then we can distribute also this content local and abroad. Okay, recent move by private TV station. Through our forum and discussion with the industry, okay, including the TV station. Okay, current leadership of private TV station in Malaysia, for example, Mr. Khairul Anwar Saleh at the middle there, he's the specky guy. He is the former CEO, former vice president of Astro, and currently the CEO of Media Prima or TV3. There are more opportunities for negotiation, because I'm glad that Mr. Khairul Anwar Saleh, he really understands the issues with regard to the copyright, and then he opened up a dialogue, negotiation and dialogue between the station and the independent producer on the share of copyright, share of the content. For example, Astro commissioned series of reality comedy show, Spontan or Spontan, where Astro provide production budget and platform to an independent production house and to allow the company, the production house, to own the copyright. This is something a good move for the production house in Malaysia in order to bring their masterpiece to the other station. For example, if the program or the idea is accepted by other stations, for example, Fremantle Media, International Fremantle Media, maybe can take the idea from this type of programming and then to do it or to produce it in any other part of the world. All right, we thank you very much. Thanks to the establishment of MyIPO by the government of Malaysia, where we can see right now a lot of improvement on the policy and regulations regarding intellectual property and copyright. Awareness among the industry player is now increasing through the series of talk, seminar, discussion conducted by the government agency, university, and creative industry. Together with me now is, so I organized one talk with MyIPO last night. We look at on the right screen, between the Film Director Association Malaysia, FDAM, where Encik Zakir Rahim now is together with us now in this seminar. So I was together. We were together with Encik Noor Ali from IPO, discuss about the issue of literary work of P. Ramlee. So who owned the copyright of P. Ramlee movie or film after 50 years? So we invited also Mr. Freddy Fernandez, one of the member of MACP, Malaysia Association for Copyright, for the MACP, right? One of the agency responsible for the audio and music copyright. So we invited him also in the seminar. So apart from that, okay, this one is my former agency, FINAS. Okay, FINAS is a government agency, a statutory body in Malaysia responsible for the development of the creative industry, particularly in the film industry, film and media industry. So FINAS of Malaysia. Okay, sorry, somebody to push. Okay. All right. Now play active role to become facilitator between government and industry players to strengthen the protection of intellectual property and copyright in Malaysia. So we are working closely with FINAS. FINAS is monitoring us, is working together with us, with my IPO and other government agency, because FINAS is under the Ministry of Communication and Multimedia Malaysia. They are the bodies that are responsible for the development of the film and the content industry in Malaysia. So apart of FINAS, so we are at university, so Center of Excellence Communication, Media and Creative Industry, CMCI, University of Malaysia. Work closely with my IPO, FINAS and various ministry and creative industry organizations, for example, Film Director Association of Malaysia, ProFirma, Professional Film Association, as well as PFM Producer Film Association of Malaysia, to conduct research, training, and awareness on intellectual property among the industry players and future creative industry among the students, especially at university students and college students as well. There are gaps in research, write up an article on intellectual property and copyright in Malaysia. We are currently inviting scholars and potential researchers and postgraduate students to be with us to conduct research particularly on IP and intellectual property. Together with me today, I have just signed up a student he is one of the staff from Polytechnic institutions, Department of Polytechnic and Vocational, Madam Fariza. She's now doing her PhD on copyright protection, particularly with regard to the audiovisual protection. And then apart from that, we organized some seminar to have some experiential learning from the industrial player. For example, Upin Ipin, one of the company in Malaysia, Leskopak Production, owned by Haji Burhan Razi. So we invited him to talk to the student and to the industry player, how he managed to bring his copyright and then to bring his copyright to the world, where he managed to market his production, Upin Ipin animated series, to Indonesia and some other country. So Upin Ipin, he has been the story about Upin Ipin started in 2007, Malaysian television series of animated short produced by Leskopak Production, which feature the life and adventures of twin brothers in a fictional nation. Upin Ipin is currently the longest running Malaysia animated series, currently in its 11 years of producing new episodes, and has 5.51 NDB star. So a very famous animated series in Indonesia, and recently in 2019, a launch series of animated Ultraman Reboot. Reboot mean thunder. Ultraman Thunder with cooperation Japan animated series Ultraman. So according to kokukokure.com, Ultraman Reboot appear on Ultra Galaxy 5 New Generation Heroes, which premiere on 29 September 2019 on the official Ultraman YouTube channel. So the industry player in Malaysia work closely with Japan production company to produce content, animation content. That's why we want to learn how Let's Kopak production managed to protect his copyright. You know, they don't sell their copyright to the TV station. They're still keeping the copyright, and then they bring their copyright to the international market. And now Upin and Ipin become one of the famous and longest serving animated series, running animated series in Malaysia. And then film in Malaysia during pandemic COVID-19. So recently I had a discussion with my friend from the creative industry. So the impact of the pandemic COVID-19 to the film industry in Malaysia particularly. So because of the movement control order, it has caused disruption to the production and screening of film in Malaysia. So only quite recently, the government allowed the production people to go and started doing their production. But cinema has been closed down since the MCO started from March 2020 now. And it seemed that showcase in cinema is something that they have to forget for the time being. So independent studios and producers showcase their film on other platforms. For example, Astro First, the subscription-based local film channel, has become platform for audience to watch local film at home during pandemic. So it has been a long queue now. When I was discussing with the PFM members, Film Production Association recently, so they are now looking forward to have another platform other than Astro First. Now Astro First, the queue is very long because the product they are afraid. They really worry that the industry is at stake now if they cannot produce content and there is no platform for them to screen their content. So only TV station and only online platform is available for them during the during the pandemic. So during the pandemic, okay, there is one fine example of a low budget film entitled Ma'il Tote. It's still now screening in Malaysia on Astro First platform. A light comedy film received box office. Now it has received more than 5 million ringgit for screening in Astro First. So it received box office with low budget. I think the budget is not more than 1 million. I think about 500,000. And then the film received already 5 million for screening in Astro First. So copyright in the digital age, we can see that with the advent of digital technology, for example, social media, besides, we are having the problem, as mentioned by our friend from Koda just now. So YouTube, Netflix, Amazon, and other OTT have become source of information and entertainment to the audience. And there are more revenues to derive from literary works such as audio and film. Producer can obtain revenue by showing the content through white label and OTT and other medium as well. So this is the potential, but it's still limited. The people in this industry is still depending on the government and on several agencies, for example, FINAS, as well as multimedia development, not multimedia, they changed already the name, Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC, right? to help them to establish more content platform for the audiovisual industry. So after we through our discussion, through webinar, through activity that we conducted with the industry, so recently we submitted a memorandum to FINAS, all right, as a body responsible under the Ministry of Communication and Multimedia Malaysia. We submitted a memorandum to FINAS, to the chairman of FINAS, a few proposals from us, from the industry and from the university, from our center. The establishment of subcommittee in FINAS to consist of members of the corporation, representative of the ministry, MyIPO academic representative, producer of production houses, TV station, specialized in formulating the mission and mission, rule and regulation with regard to copyright protection of visual content. So that is our first proposal to FINAS. We also asked FINAS, the policy division at FINAS is the local focal unit and secretariat organizing activity and assisting in formulating a comprehensive and neat and orderly copyright policy with the help from MyIPO for the creative content industry under the supervision or under the purview of FINAS. So we propose also making amendment to the FINAS Act as proposed before, because ever since when I was in FINAS also, the move to repeal the purview of FINAS on film to be opened up to a wider scope under Content Malaysia, where FINAS is not only looking after the film, but they look after for the content as a whole, including the television content as well, because the statute now, the regulation, the legal system in Malaysia now, FINAS are only responsible for the film industry, not any other content. So that's why the to repeal the act is something imminent right now to be tabled in the parliament. So with the development of the world, so it coincides with the development of the world digital creative content industry medium. So because film is no longer only the content as a whole, content from YouTube, content from documentary, content for TV station, it should be under the purview of FINAS. Okay. We also propose FINAS to establish a strategic partnership with the Center of Excellence, our center, in UPM and other local, international, or international universities and agencies on research and development, R&D on copyright protection, that will add reference material to help in designing policy and regulation for copyright protection in Malaysia, especially on the audiovisual. So we also propose to provide research funding on copyright to local university in producing current information, proposal paper and policy development and rules on copyright creative visual content to FINAS. So we also propose FINAS to sponsor staff, student, or anybody who intend to pursue their study at the postgraduate level, master's and PhD level in the field of creative content copyright, to provide us with the layers of expertise on copyright. So we hope that there are more students, more researchers from industry, from agencies, to work together with university to do some research, not only to do some research, and to provide some papers to propose to government to improve our protection of copyright with regard to audiovisual and intellectual property as a whole. Okay, we propose also to gather information on sample of agreement and contract used by local and international creative content industry for comparison and replication of best practice. Once I was invited together with the CCIG, Creative Content Industry Gate Malaysia, we went to Hollywood last time to Hollywood to see how the people in the US, the function of the guild industry, where they are functioning very well to look after the affairs of the people in the industry, where they protect the right of the people, the industrial player, started from the producer, from the content creator, actor. They have the actor guild. They have the screenwriter guild. All those organizations or NGOs are very advanced in terms of providing yearly negotiation to represent their members to negotiate with the studio on behalf of the members. So we can replicate some of their practice that being doing over there in the US. So we hope that we can learn also from Japan, especially with Coda, right? The way how Coda help the industry to curb the copyright infringement and to help us in the matter with regard to the production of to the protection of the copyright content of the creative content. So we organize seminar, webinar, training of trainers, town hall for creative industry players and students, especially specifically on copyright protection, so that they have high awareness on this matter. So we provide to FINAS also to provide media campaign in the form of documentary, public service announcements, press coverage, press releases, specialized in providing awareness of intellectual property copyright to industry and community players. And then FINAS to establish international cooperation with international organizations, WIPO, and developed country, including JTO, Japan Copyright Office, CODA, and to set benchmark for the copyright protection policy of creative content in Malaysia. So that is, I think, the last slide for my presentation today. So thank you very much for MIPO for inviting me, CODA, as well as JTO to invite me to be part of the presenter today. So I end my presentation today. Thank you, everyone. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Dr. Megat, for the very well elaborate presentation on the Malaysia's perspective on the audiovisual issues and challenges. We're very happy and very honored to receive all the very issues, intricacies on the audiovisuals, especially in the local scene. Now we know that now the world is pivoting towards audiovisuals and video streaming services more than ever before. And 2020 has seen the entry of more players in the online scene, from as what we can see just now from both presentations, the excellent presentation made by Mr. Masaharu-san and yourself, Dr. Megat. So the time is now almost 4 o'clock in Malaysia, and in Japan is 3 o'clock. Is that right, Mr. Masaharu-san? Oh, I cannot hear from you.
5. That's okay.
Okay. All right. So we will continue on with the videos made by CODA and MIPO, as what has been mentioned earlier in the opening address by Dr. Yuriko Seki, that both CODA and MIPO have made these wonderful videos, and for the purpose of the copyright awareness campaigns in the Japan Expo that we held every year. So I leave that to you, Mr. Masaharu-san, for those wonderful awareness videos.
I thought you are going to upload it. I'm sorry. I need some time.
Series session, since the participants may have questions, burning desire to ask questions about all that they may wonder from Mr. Masaharu-san's presentation or from Dr. Megat presentation himself. So I open up to the floor. If you have any question, you can either send through chat or unmute your button. This is the time for you to speak.
はい、それでは Q&A のセッションを始めたいと思います。皆さんの方で今、皆様とそしてドクターマガート様の方からお話を伺ってぜひ聞きたいという質問があるかもしれませんので、チャットでも構いませんし、今、解除をしていただいてミュート解除していただいてお話しいただいても大丈夫です。
Are there any questions so far from anyone? Maybe I can share with everybody that this year has been a very good year for us, where the good news is the decrease in streaming piracy in Malaysia, and this report was published by AVIA, AVIA, which I can share it here. You can see, I don't know whether everyone can see that, or is it? So this is saying that Malaysia is on the right track in trying to curb the piracy in Malaysia, and we have the MTDC, which is the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumerism, to be thanked to for the wonderful job they've done in the administrative site blocking actions against the egregious piracy websites. And these are the ones that have been actively being taken by the ministry, which offer an avenue for enforcing the copyright protections online.
Can I ask?
Sure.
Zaki Rahim from Film Director Association in Malaysia.
Yeah, doctor, can I ask?
Okay, yes. Yes, Mr. Zaki?
Okay, it's a very short one. I think we have been mentioning about this before. Who will be the enforcing entity to materialize the fightings of copyright, especially when you are representing the industry players? Because it seems to be that MyPo always claim they are only registrationing, membuat pendaftaran semata-mata sahaja, and even Finas will be saying that it's not within our jurisdiction, so it will leave us, the players, trapped in the middle. Dr. Megat?
Right, okay. So I think that the right person to answer this question is Puan Rashida from my IPO. So Puan Rashida, maybe can answer on behalf of IPOS who will be the person responsible. Maybe for Rashida. So I would like to ask also, any specific unit under the Ministry of Domestic Trade, under which department responsible to shut down any illegal website stream the content illegally in Malaysia?
Who are the one? Okay.
それでは、質問なんですけれども、この、著作権に関する、対策を誰が取らなくてはいけないのかという質問になるんですけれども、例えば業界の方から、業界のどこかの産業の代表の方から何か対策を取りたいというようなお願いをされた場合、どこがどの組織がですね、その責任を持って行うということになるんでしょうか。おそらく、IPO であったりとか、フィナスではないというふうに考えているんですけれども、どなたになりますでしょうかというのが質問です。
Okay. For the site blockings, it is the administrative site blockings. These actions are being taken by the Ministry of Domestic Trade in the enforcement division. So the enforcement division, they have their IP unit. So they are the one after being received the complaint from users, and they will they have lodged the report to the ministry, and the ministry will take actions and also work together with the MCMC, which then will take down the offensive content online. But it has to be the copyright owners initiative in order for the unauthorized content to be taken down. I think it will be more or less similar, like in CODA, the what that the CODA have shown in the elaborate diagram, and it seems that the one in CODA is quite advanced. That they also have the whole diagram on how the internet are taken down. Isn't that right, Mr. Masaharu-san?
Rashida-san, thank you. The picture is different because we do not have site blocking, and we do not work as an intermediary when it comes to certain action by copyright owners. You know, in Japan, for criminal actions, copyright owners have to report to the police to investigate and prosecute copyright infringers, and there's no room for us to interact. And so far as civil actions are concerned, as you can easily understand, it's copyright owners who act on their behalf. But you know, if copyright owners need any assistance, any advice, we can always we are always open to be of their assistance. Thank you.
I see.
マレーシアのまず状況としてはですね、サイトブロックに関しては、ミニストリー・オブ・ドメスティック・トレードということで、国内の取引に関する担当している省庁の方に、その実際に法の執行を行う部隊がありますので、その中の IP のユニットの方が担当していくことになります。流れとしては、まずユーザーの方から苦情としてまず報告がありまして、その報告が省庁内に上がります。そして MCMC の方も関わって一緒に取り組みをしていくという形になります。そして、
山さん、すみません。はい、英語のやつは、後で僕が報告書を文化庁に行きますので、大丈夫です。すみません。ご丁寧にやっていただいたんですけど、ちょっと時間があれなので、日本語のとこだけ英語に訳していただきます。
一例ということですね。失礼いたしました。
はい、すみません。とんでもございません。ありがとうございます。Rashida-san, I just told Hatakeyama-san, the interpreter, that she doesn't need to translate into Japanese because I'll make a full, complete report to agency.
But either or, we're more than happy. So it sounds very happy, very, very celebrated here.
So thank you, Mr. Masaharu. So we can see that your presentation is very detailed. So I think that the industry in Malaysia, especially Malaysian Producers Association, Film Directors Association, we would like to have to have you to talk to our industry player with regard to how the Japanese, because we know that Japanese is quite advanced in terms of the technology over there, in terms of any specific technology or blockchain technology that you are employing in Japan to detect any infringement of copyright. Because I can see also some last time, I don't know that these people from Kodi, right? One of the examples that you brought just now, Kodi, one of the devices, they have the full list of the title. Last time I bought this device, and then when I browsed through the content that they have, Malaysian film and Malaysian drama, for example, they have right from a 1970 drama until now. But luckily, the government of Malaysia has shut down the content on Kodi. So, is there any way we can share the information? Because university or as well, we would like to tell the students so how this thing can be done. All right, especially maybe that you have your SOP or you have some specific devices technology with regard to the detection of this copyright infringement over the internet.
As I said, we do not have site blocking. So, we know as information that there are various ways to impose site blocking, like DNS blocking, ISP blocking, etc., etc. And there are various ways. And when it comes to ISDs, what I learned from talking to colleagues, enforcement colleagues in Taiwan and Hong Kong, there are certain digital forensic technologies. I am not familiar with those technologies or details thereof, but there are certain ways to detect a suspect. But the problem is that the hardest part for them in the investigation is that they cannot reveal themselves to the suspect. They have to surreptitiously, secretly conduct this digital forensic and record evidence. Then they have to go to the suspect. They have to have a raid and arrest the suspect. So it's a bit difficult in terms of technology and also this secret conduct. And when it comes to digital forensic, we actually started have a sort of test from this financial year with an aid from Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry to employ so-called white hackers, hackers with goodwill, to have this sort of digital forensic at our end, and also filtering and so forth. So we started this test this year, this financial year that ends as of 31st of March next year. And we would employ this whole operation next year. So we would learn more next year. And perhaps we can share certain information, by keeping in touch. Now that we know each other.
Dr. Mekah and Puan Rafiza, my question is not yet answered. Okay.
Yeah, Puan Rashida, on the role of MyIPO to register the content. Is it only to register the content? So IPO. So recently, MyIPO also launched this new unit under the one unit, right? There is not Suruhanjaya, what we call as the tribunal, right? Copyright tribunal. Maybe Rashida can explain about the tribunal to our industry player.
Okay, thank you so much. So can I have the question again? Because I'm the moderator today, not to answer the questions, but anyway, I'll be happy to assist. Can I have the questions again?
Oh, so Zaki,
okay, all right. It's a simple one. I mean, we, the players of the industry, are trapped in the middle, especially the directors versus the producers. because once the producers are getting payment from the TV station, it was not well distributed among the players just because the contract is very loose, does not siding the players. So if we are talking about right under MIPO, the question is who will be the enforcing entity or bodies to ensure that nobody has been neglected in terms of talking copyright, because once we are mentioning about copyright is about the fair and equal of segregating the payment among us, which is not yet into the right track. So we are just to know, to confirm who will be the correct or the right body to make sure we are also well protected under copyright issues.
Okay, I got your questions loud and clear. Thank you so much, Muhammad Zaki.
Are you getting me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Thank you.
Okay. So the questions, like just now, the producers are getting the fair share, the amount, and then due to the loose contractual arrangement between the industry players and those people who are associated with the work, isn't it? So those work, so by right from the payment, so it should have gone down all the way until everyone that is involved in the working of that copyrighted work should be getting some fair share of the fairly remunerated. Is that right?
Yes.
So the question is, how do you ensure that nobody is neglected or does not or not be left out from getting
yes.
remunerations? Okay, so
yeah,
in the I would say levels of the in the working, the levels of those working the copyright work. So say there's a film producers, the directors, and those people who are working at the backstage, and there's just enormous people who are involved in making of one film. Let's just put it this way. So yes, you're quite right. So it is at the end of the day, it boils down to the contractual arrangement. So if the contract is not clear, that does not stipulate clearly who and how much those people down the line should be getting the remuneration, that that contract, the problem is with the contract. It's not really on the copyright, because the contract usually would have to stipulate it clearly, and who will get the fair share. And if, in the event there is no such provisions or clause that provide the same in the contract, so as the performers in the contract, they are eligible to refer this issue of equitable remunerations, or even if there is no contract whatsoever, to the Copyright Tribunal. They can come to the Copyright Tribunal to say that they are not happy with the amount, equitable remuneration is not equitable to them. They should be getting this and that. And those are the ones that you are able to bring to the Copyright Tribunal.
Okay, Paula Chida, thank you for that. But is it under one condition? Whoever is going to bring up the matters to tribunal, they need to register their product first under MIPO.
That's not true. That's not true. When you said product, what is the product? First, here, copyright work. Same as in Japan, same as everywhere except for US. Whoever which is a member of the Berne Convention, there's no formality and no formality requirement, meaning the copyright work does not need to be registered. There is no registration for copyright work. Copyright work, you will get protection automatically. In the Copyright Office, what we offer is only to assist you in proving your ownership for copyright. Now, copyright protection, you will get automatic as long as you can show the originality and other copyright requirements. But what remains posed as a problem or difficult is proving ownership. So that's why MyPo comes in to assist everyone with the voluntary notification. And the name voluntary notification is also reflected from the no formality requirement as per the Berne Convention. So,
Okay, thank you for Rashida. I get you. I think this is another long way to go. We need to meet up doing the explanation so that everybody in the industry will understand this.
So that the industry
better.
will get a clear explanation and understanding, so that there won't be any confusion.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
So,
Is any other questions? We have here our expert from Japan and Dr. Magat, who is very much experienced, especially in the issue on the audio visuals, and the audio visuals and copyright related to it, and enforcement of the same.
Yeah,
So,
for Rashida, I can see
yes.
that from the previous cases that brought to the court, right? So there is a problem in terms of to provide the proof, because some of the plaintiff, right, in the case from a previous case, because maybe like that previously we don't have the system, but right now there are a lot of systems available in the market right now where we can track the similarity and differences. The similarity in terms of the content, for example, script can be easily detected how many percent of similarity by using certain software, for example, Turnitin, that being used right now mostly in the university, right? So maybe that the software, for example, Turnitin also can be part of the way. I don't know, maybe this is only, for example, right, Turnitin, one of the way how we detect the plagiarism in the academic world. Maybe that we can apply this thing also to the creative content, where we use Turnitin or any other software to detect any infringement or plagiarism of the content of idea. So is there any percentage? For example, in university, normally we put threshold. Any copy should not exceed 30% or 10%. If above a certain threshold, meaning that it's considered to be a breach of as a conduct of plagiarism. So any software, any tools that we can do, maybe?
Right. Okay. You're quite right to say that there is for plagiarism, there's a software called Turnitin, is it? Where they can detect for plagiarism. So likewise for copyright piracy. So like in what Mr. Masaharu-san has showed earlier, how in Japan that they have softwares, and not just software, technologies and such, to detect the movement and the monitoring of the infringing content online. So maybe Mr. Masaharu-san, you can elaborate further on those technology?
With technologies, but there is a special unit within the police. It's called cyber crime unit or something. They should have certain ways to detect the movement of infringing contents.
Okay.
But the details are not made public.
I see. Okay. Oh, yes. And like what you mentioned just now, that police are the one who will be upfront, because police is the one taking the core workload on those crime online. Same as like in other jurisdictions, say in the UK, they were under the PIPCU, Police IP Crime Unit. So I think similar fashion, other countries are also having either the enforcement unit itself or the police are the one with a dedicated technology and I'm sure the software and all to detect and monitor the content that is unauthorized online.
As far as CODA is concerned, as I explained, we use fingerprints, and each right holder uses its own system, or sometimes they use outside companies like Comesso or Mobile, all those companies who detect infringing contents as per your instructions and send out takedown notices. So in two ways, either you have your own system, plus human staffers to detect those infringers and infringing contents, or you use outside companies.
So,
Right.
Puan Rashida, how about this function of our Malaysian cyber security? Is there any relationship cyber security work together with MyIPO or Ministry of Domestic Trade in order to detect any? Because normally when come to the issue of abuse of internet activity, right? So normally it fall under the jurisdiction of cyber security as the policing body, because whenever people report to, if we go to report something to TV station, to police department, for example, if we want to take certain action, go to the police department in Malaysia. So the police will advise us to go to the cyber security to report this matter. So is there any works between MyIPO and cyber security?
Okay, there are works because this is requires synergies. So they work together with the enforcement arm of the ministry under the Ministry of Domestic Trade, the enforcement unit together with the cybercrime, cybersecurities as well as MCMC. So these are the one that we've been working together, and there is a task force in order to address the issues on online piracy, among other things. And not just that, whatever crime that that is online, like for example, the online gaming, what do you call it in Malay? You call it judi. Prostitution, child, or name it. All the other crime together with piracy are all dealt together. So they don't seem to isolate, differentiate between any of those, but these are the one that the cybercrime unit together with MCMC will investigate and do take action. All right, since the time now has come to 4:30 in Malaysia, which is also about 5:30 in Japan. So we have exceeded the time. So almost the time has been quite nice because it is according to the time that we have proposed to have planned. So we will have to end the webinar, and we really hope that the webinar has been beneficial for all our audience. And we really hope to see all of you again in the upcoming webinars. And in the meantime, there is a questionnaire from CODA. Maybe Mr. Masaharu, you want to speak up on that so that we really appreciate the participants. Yes, these are the participants' questionnaire. We hope that you can go to the link provided, which is http://www.codacj.jp, and just go to the link with the ID, test ID, password testpad, and we would really appreciate if you could answer the questions and submit for purpose of our research for a better webinar in the future. So we really thank you very much for all your participations. Mr. Masaharu, I leave it to you.
Rashida-san, thank you very much, and thank you all of you participants for respective precious time for such a long time in the afternoon. I really appreciate it. And as my friend Rashida-san briefly explained, we have a questionnaire, online questionnaire, which I would like you all to fill in and return. And this is the URL, which I believe can be delivered from MyPo. I show you how it will work just briefly, quickly. Really. You can put test ID in the ID section and test pass in the password section and logging in. Then you will see this questionnaire in English. You can just pick your answer, or you can write it in like I love MyPo, something like this. And you can just check your answer by quick check, and you check the answer and submit. It's as simple as that.
Koda,
if you could participate in this questionnaire, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for all the distinguished speakers. Thank you again to Dr. Yuriko Seki-san from the Copyright Division, Agency of Cultural Affairs. And thank you for everyone who have made this webinar a true, hopefully beneficial for all. And we hope to hear more from you. Next time, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask either myself or Mr. Masaharu-san. You could email me or Mr. Masaharu-san for any questions that you might want to know regarding today's talk. We hope to hear from you, and have a very good evening. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.